Founded over 30 years ago, Gillespie Group is a full-service residential and commercial real estate firm based in Lansing, Michigan. With an eye to the future, Gillespie Group is fueled by strategic development with a passion to find creative solutions for real estate development needs. Known for the ability to visualize new energetic spaces that breathe life into spaces and community, Gillespie continues to use its resources to initiate the transformation within the communities it works in. Learn more at gillespie-group.com. Welcome to another installation of Conversations from Mackinac, the series from Michigan Reimagines podcast with Chris Buck. Special session is sponsored generously by Triterra and the Gillespie Group. And I am your host, Chris Buck, here now with the President and CEO of the Belle Conservancy, Meagan Elliott. Welcome to the show, Meagan.
Thank you so much for having me, Chris.
Well, I love the Belle I love Belle Isle as a Michigander, and I was so excited to hear and learn more about the Conservancy. So can you share a little bit with our listeners about the organization's mission?
Yes. So we are the nonprofit partner to the park is owned by the city of Detroit and is managed by the state of Michigan. And so we basically fill all of those gaps in between. So whether that's fundraising for capital projects, engaging with residents about what their priorities are, creating a volunteer corps to help with everything we're doing on the island, managing the aquarium, really anything under the sun to make the experience more vibrant, more accessible, and more welcoming. That's what the Belle Isle Conservancy is all about.
Excellent. So share with those not terribly familiar with Belle Isle where it's located, its size, buildings, and maybe some of the history. How long has Belle Isle been a destination for Detroiters and others?
Sure. So Belle Isle formally became a public park in 1880. It was designed by Frederick Law Olmsted, who is the father of landscape architecture. He also designed Central Park and several other parks around the country. I will say, just because I'm competitive, Belle Isle is bigger than Central Park.
All right.
It is nestled in the heart of the Detroit River, so Canada on one side, Detroit on the other, and we have about 55 historic buildings. People often don't realize that. So it is an amazing place to engage with kind of natural splendor. We have 200 acres of wet mesic forest. We have canals, which is a nice way to engage with the water for those that are just kind of beginning, either learning how to swim or kayak, canoe, things like that. And then we also have these world-class institutions like the Belle Isle Aquarium, which is the oldest operating aquarium in America, the Conservatory, the Belle Isle Nature Center, operated by the Detroit Zoo, the Dawson Great Lakes Museum, operated by the Detroit Historical Society, and so many other partners that we work with to do great programming across the island. So there's really clearly something for everyone in this space, but it's also just a great family of organizations and entities that rally together to make everything on Belle Isle possible.
Right on. So you have all these hands operating and orchestrating the programming within these buildings, but your role is to raise capital and kind of keep these things in good repair. Is that a reasonable summary?
So we keep things in good repair. We're also operators ourselves.
Okay.
So we run the Belle Isle Aquarium. There might be future projects that we operate moving forward. I'll leave that as a little cliffhanger. But we know that there's not enough capital currently to do all the projects that residents want to see happen in the space.
Right.
So we're really there to mobilize kind of the private sector with everything from individual donors to the philanthropic community to help close that gap for what we need from a public funding side and make all these projects possible. We oversee them, soup to nuts. Again, we do the community engagement, which is a really important part of how we prioritize which projects we work on. And then we help to operate and steward them after the fact. So.
Got it. And any facility like this is going to need constant capital improvements and just upkeep. Most people are aware of Detroit's, had a decline and the bankruptcy. So is there a lot of kind of deferred maintenance that you're trying to catch up on, or is it really just kind of stabilizing and keeping things moving along?
That's a great question. I would say, from a park stewardship point, you're never allowed to say we're done with maintenance, because maintenance is always an ongoing labor, right?
Yep.
But we have made such headway in terms of deferred maintenance over the last 10 years. So the state has invested about $170 million in so many parts of the island, in health and safety priorities and things that, are below the surface that you would never even know are projects.
Right.
That have gotten us to the point where now we can focus on the really fun stuff that residents want to see happen.
Headquartered in Lansing, Triterra has been creating healthier communities throughout Michigan since 2008. Their expertise in brownfield development, environmental consulting, and natural resource management needs provides practical solutions for developers, property owners, and governmental entities. For responsive service tailored to your best interests, call the Triterra team at 517-702-0470 or visit triterra.us. Well, and I know it's always hard to ask about partners because you're like, I'm going to forget someone.
Yeah.
So is there a website where people could go to learn more about the Conservancy and all the folks that are a part of that?
BelleIsleConservancy.org.
Okay.
It's a new website that we just launched in January. And I will say that it is so joyful. And it really represents the feeling that you get when you're on the island. So it's almost like our digital portal to Belle Isle. So if you're living on a different coast now and you miss your favorite spot in Detroit, also look us up there.
I went on your landing page to prep for this interview, and it was fun to see. It is 8:21 a.m. Today's high is 69 degrees and sunny. And and the messaging behind it just seems so authentic and so sincere. And it feels like with that kind of culture behind the mission, you're destined to succeed. And it feels like the people that are benefacting you should feel that their money is in good hands and that you're going to be good stewards of that. That's fantastic.
Absolutely, yeah.
Let me ask you, is there anything here at the conference that you're either advocating for or paying attention to, or any new initiatives you're trying to stir up while you're at the conference here?
Yes. So we've been working on a project called the Belle Isle Commons.
Okay.
So the Commons is basically an initiative that came out of community feedback across several years now. And people said they wanted to be able to, right now there's a lot of destinations on the island that are car driven. So you drive your car, you park it somewhere, go into a building or go to the beach, whatever it may be, get back in your car and leave the island. But if you think about your experiences in truly world-class public spaces, you drift between places, right? You get exposed to things that you never thought you might that day. I think that's kind of one of the foundational premises of what makes parks so wonderful is they're like the bedrock of democracy, right? Because you are encountering difference in all these ways and seeing, different walks of life and how different people enjoy their time and everything in between. So we really want to support that with this concept called the Commons. We did the design work last year and we kicked off community engagement around the designs for it. And at the heart of it is really a public square that would kind of center the experience on the island, and it's right in the middle of all these institutions that I just named. So that not only do you have more programming and greater density of access to all those spaces, but you actually realize that they're much more connected than they seem. Some of them are a 2-minute walk away from one another, but because you're used to driving in your car, you think it's very far apart.
Right,
So as part of that, this summer we're going to have a pop-up beer garden in front of the White House, so that would be like right across from where the aquarium is, as part of an initiative to fundraise to restore the White House and turn it into a year-round cafe. So this is kind of phase one, just getting people excited. Eventually we're going to work on expanding the beach to double the width, back to what the shoreline used to look like in the 1940s. So it's an ecological restoration project, but it's also, again, about equity and access for the only beach within the city limits. We have a really exciting arts and culture project around the fountain. Again, I said we're building out this public square, and I think there's just going to be so much continued enthusiasm and excitement, and I think everyone just appreciates their spot that they love so much on Belle Isle. And there's kind of something for everyone in our plan of what we're raising for moving forward.
Now, as a Conservancy, you get to see these things and the befores and afters and even the unsexy pipes under the ground and roofs that maybe people don't appreciate when they see the change. But how do you measure results? Is it like attendance, or is it just donations? Is it just how do you measure that whether you're successful or not?
It's different across a lot of things. So attendance is a big one. With the aquarium and conservatory, every day that we're open, we see about 2,000 people walk through those doors.
Wow.
A lot of them are repeat attendees who just love that space so much. We're not the big shark swimming over your head aquarium. We're a historic aquarium, right? So that just shows what kind of a community-driven institution it is. So we measure attendance. We measure pounds of trash removed off the island from our volunteer corps.
Okay, good.
Which is a really important feature of how we do waterway cleanups, but then also cleanup of the park itself. And that has that has gotten to a point where we now are like looking for where are the areas if we have a cleanup group coming out, because things are looking really good, which is a great thing.
Right.
And then we also really look back to, again, all the community engagement we do. So last summer, initially, there was a goal to talk to 2,000 residents. And we said, we think we can do a lot better than that and talk to a lot more folks and really get their opinions on what the priorities should be moving forward. By the end of the summer, we talked to 12,000. So
wow, okay.
It's such an important part of everything that we do. This is a public park. It is owned by the residents of Detroit, and we need to know what they're thinking. You know, it's broadly used across the whole region, so we always want to get more and more. We're voracious with our community engagement.
Sure.
So having all those inputs really drive everything about our mission.
For those not all that familiar, access to the island is free?
So you have to have a recreation passport.
Got it. Perfect.
Which is,
okay, good.
I think, $14 annually for any state park.
Yep.
But then once you get on the island, all of the institutional assets are free. So the Belle Isle Nature Center, the Dawson, the aquarium and conservatory are all free, which is remarkable. And I have, people that visit from all over the country and the world that are always blown away by that fact.
Well, I was going to ask, you talk about community engagement. If you're checking people on their way in, I would imagine you have some data as to how many people are local residents that use that as their park, like Central Park, and how many people are traveling from East Lansing, like I might, or people from out of state visiting Detroit that just said, hey, I heard about this cool haven outside of Detroit. I'm going to go check it out. So do you know what those kinds of
So we know overall that we have 5.5 million folks that visit the island every year.
Wow.
And again, for context, if you filled Ford Field for an entire season of Lions games, that's about 1 million folks. So again, just to put in perspective, there's so many people that love this place. And obviously 5.5 million is a lot more than live in the city of Detroit. So we've got people from all over the region. We know anecdotally that we have people from all over the world. We have little kind of apps and passport things that people engage with within each of the spaces that kind of tells you where they're from, but we don't have a comprehensive picture of what that really looks like from a data perspective. I would love that.
No, that's just asking the questions that popped into my head, so that's all fantastic. So BelleIsleConservancy.org is where people can go and learn about this treasure that we've got and all the wonderful work that you're doing there. That's fantastic. Is there anything I haven't asked you that you want to chat about or explain to our listeners about your work?
Since we're sending people to the website, something that I would love for people to do. So we have a very special part of our website that's about people's memories. So anywhere I go, anything I'm doing, if people learn, who I am and that I represent Belle Isle, they hand me a treasured family photo. They tell me a beautiful story about their grandmother. There's so many generational memories that are housed on Belle Isle, and it's such an important asset to the region.
Right.
So we created this part of our website where you can actually upload pictures, audio, video, and tag it to different spots around the island, so that then as we move around and do more capital projects in different places, we can kind of collect all of those memories and share them back out to the public. It's a very special part of what we're doing, and we take very seriously the role of being the caretakers of those memories.
Yes.
And we love for more and more participation on that, because it just makes everything we're doing that much richer. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
What wonderful work you're doing. Thank you so much for your contributions to our awesome state of Michigan. We've been speaking with the president and CEO of the Belle Isle Conservancy, Meagan Elliott. Appreciate you joining me here today. It's been really fun to chat with you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And thanks again to our sponsors, Triterra and the Gillespie Group. And listen to soon for another episode coming from Michigan Reimagined, live from the Mackinac Policy Conference.